Good afternoon and welcome to Travel During COVID. Such a different time to travel right now. And I thought I would share my experiences with you. I have been on 3 trips out of the country since the pandemic and headed for my fourth. So it is important for my clients to know what to expect when they're traveling, if it's the right time for you to travel, and many other questions that you may have. So let me just get my screen ready and we can start. Okay. All right. Perfect. Travel during COVID. So I am, of course, as you can imagine, very excited to talk about travel again. And not so much in the last few months, we've been talking about future travel and when we can travel again. So it's nice to be able to talk about experiences that we have actually done. But first, I'd like to introduce myself to those that don't know me. I'm Lori Foster. I'm a travel advisor and the owner of Luxury Travel Associates Dream Vacations. I've been in the travel industry for 25 years and have been around the world and to almost 60 countries so far. So I'm an avid traveler and I love traveling. So there is a chat feature on the toolbar. If you'd like to ask questions, we can get to them at the end. So flying does look very different right now. And as you've heard, you must wear a mask for the whole flight and in the airports. And most airlines are not keeping middle seats opened anymore. So as of right now, this is end of October 2020. They're not, most of them are not keeping seats open. There are some airlines that do. So for clients that this is important to, let me know. And we can see what options we have on those specific airlines. So moving on, my first trip out of the country, as you know, we don't have much choice as to where we can go right now. There are some locations that are open. Many have a lot of different I guess, ways and regulations and things that you need to do before you get in. So I tried most of the locations that are easier for my clients to get to right now as a quick getaway. So this was my first trip to Cancun in the Riviera Maya area of Mexico in the beginning of July 2020. This one is the Hard Rock Hotel Riviera Maya. Wonderful for multi-generational families, families of kids, especially teens. But there's also an adult only part of the resort that's totally separate if you want that area, I guess, with no kids. So, if for people who are a little reluctant to travel right now, all-inclusive resorts are probably the easiest and best thing for you to do right now. They've always been very popular, but lately I've seen a huge increase of popularity in them from all of my clients and many different types of people because um, there's something that makes them feel a little bit safer. They're a more contained environment. They let you know what they're doing to make it safe and comfortable, and you don't have to be going out to different restaurants and taking taxis or Ubers. Everything is it's self-contained right there in the resort for you. I also visited, this is the Hard Rock Hotel in Cancun. Again, another very family-friendly resort, great also for even girls' trips or bachelor parties, or excuse me, or even adult only. This one is located in the hotel zone, and as you can see, the most spectacular beaches. Another place that I visited was Unico 2087, which is in the Riviera Maya area of Mexico. This is an adult-only resort. It's got a modern and hip vibe and very popular right now. So Cancun and Riviera Maya have a colored phased reopening plan. And the way it goes is it was red was, do not travel, like total lockdown. Orange is small scale partial opening, and yellow is where they've medium scale opening. Green, of course, would be open as usual. So when I was here in this area of Cancun and the Riviera Maya in July of 2021, it was an orange scale. So it was a small scale partial opening. Hotels had 25 to 30% occupancy. That was the max that they were allowed to have. And they were full, full to that maximum capacity. It gave it a really nice feel to the resort. There were never any crowds or lines or anything. You can always find a seat somewhere. it was a nice feel, but for some people, they might say it was a little too quiet. And as of just recently, in October 2020, they've moved to yellow phase, which I have experienced, where they've moved up to 60% capacity now. My second trip out of the US was to the Dominican Republic in early August. This is Sanctuary Cap Cana. It's a gorgeous upscale resort, more of a boutique resort. It's adult only, and it's in a gated area near Punta Cana called Cap Cana, where they have maybe I think 5 hotels. There's a marina, there's golf courses, there's shopping, dining, and even residential areas. So just a really beautiful area. I also visited Hyatt Ziva and Hyatt Zilara, which are separate sides. If you see their 2 horseshoes, they're mirror images of each other, but one side is adult only and the other is all ages. So the nice thing is if you're in the adult only side, you could use some of the facilities on the family or all age side, but kids can't come over to the adult only side. This resort is also located in the gated area of Cap Cana, and again, the same spectacular beaches that the Dominican Republic is known for. Another plus is that it's a brand new resort, so everything is just beautiful. My third trip out was to Cabo, Mexico, about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. This was the view from my terrace every morning as I drank my coffee and watched the sunrise. This resort was Hyatt Ziva Los Cabos. Again, another great option for all ages. I also visited Grand Velas Los Cabos, which is an upscale family-friendly resort that is just gorgeous with bougainvillea dripping from every terrace. Another beautiful option. And then this was where I stayed, another resort called LeBlanc Spa Resort in Los Cabos. It's modern, it's luxurious, it's adult only, has an amazing spa with a lot of things that are just included in your resort stay. You don't even have to have a treatment. And again, beautiful views in Los Cabos. Okay, now to the airport experience. In the US, most of the airports have been fairly empty. We don't have the long lines as usual. Some of the TSA lines aren't even open because there are no lines. Again, there are some times when it is more crowded than others. But usually it's, just certain times or certain days. So I've been in now 9 airports since the pandemic, and I have to say that the airports in America aren't really doing this much. They ask you not to sit next to everyone, but when people are waiting for a flight, every seat is full. But in the airports outside of the country, they are more, I guess, a little stricter about it, and people do follow the rule where they don't sit, and the seats are all marked, so you can kind of see right from the picture that you're not encouraged to sit in every single seat. One other thing to notice about the airports are some of the restaurants and bars are closed. You won't, not everything is open. There are, of course, food choices and restaurants that are open, but not every single thing. And on the flights themselves, you don't have food service. They give you a little bag with a cookie and a bottle of water. First class and business class does have food service, but it's much different than it ever was before. One of my flights I had, it was served on a tray, almost like an economy meal would be, and it wasn't as good as usual, I have to say that, but they did have food and drink. Oh, and they also, many of the economy class does not serve alcohol now either. Definitely a different experience the first time you go to the airport. Everyone does wear their masks. Cancun, for example, was one of the first destinations to adopt what's called the World Travel and Tourism Council's health and hygiene protocols, and they earned a global safety stamp. So what that means is the World Travel and Tourism Council, their protocols are backed by the United Nations World Tourism Organization, and these guidelines are from the World Health Organization and the CDC. So these are things for protocols for hotels, restaurants, airlines, airports, cruise lines, tour operators, outdoor shops, and transportation providers. So besides the airport in Cancun, the other First on that list were Barcelona, Seville, Portugal, and Saudi Arabia. So for us traveling right now, Cancun is our option. And when we got to the airport, it was a very different experience when we land in the Cancun airport with people with, full gear on. They looked almost like they were from outer space. Here are one of the airport lounges that was actually open. Many of the airport lounges are not open, or they have limited hours. The Admirals Club, some of them are open. They don't serve food the way they used to. They do, but it's, of course, obviously no buffets. You have to sit down. They bring you to a seat, and they'll serve you food and drinks there. I did also find that more of the airport lounges were open in other countries than they are here in the US. Flights were spaced out early during COVID. Like I mentioned before, there were temperature checks as you got on the flight in other countries. I did not encounter that here in America. When we got to the arrival, temperature checks in the international airports, again, like I'd mentioned, some countries require negative COVID tests and health forms filled out and submitted, some online, some you have to do ahead of time and wait for an approval. But these are the types of things that I help you out with as your travel advisor and let you know what you need and what we need to do. And when you arrive at the resort, many of the resorts had people out there to spray down the actual vehicle. So one of the things I get for my clients are private transfers. A lot of times transfers that are included with hotels or even that are not, that you pay for, are in a shared shuttle bus. So you can have maybe 20 other people that you don't know with you. You've got to go to 6 different resorts to drop people off. So you can spend a lot of time in a shuttle bus with people you don't know, which you might not want to do. So private transfers are something that's I highly encourage. When you get to the resorts, they take your luggage like usual, but they sanitize it, they put a sticker on it when it's done, and they bring it to the room for you. Most of the resorts, when you enter, your temperature is scanned. So if you look at the picture on the left, standing there on that tripod is a thermal scanner. So as you walk by, the man behind the desk can see the immediate temperature there. On the right, the woman there is getting scanned. This is a different resort. But if you also look at her feet there, you stand in a, it's like a disinfecting mat, which will disinfect your shoes. Okay, this is a quick video of just showing what the experience is like. Okay, so just quick and easy. Okay, this is what I was talking about with the mat before. You step in the sanitizing mat, it sanitizes your shoes, and some of the places had them outside of every single restaurant or bar that you walked into. Some only had them when you went outside of the resort, just depended. This was the welcome committee at the Hard Rock Hotel Cancun. Employees are always masked all the time. This was a thermal scanner outside of a different resort. So even if you don't see them, they're usually there somewhere and they are being monitored by people in the hotel. Most check-in desks have plexiglass dividers. I'm not sure if you can see from this picture, but they're right at the desk there. There is like a clear shield there. Okay, reminders everywhere to social distance. Even if you forget, you'll still see them everywhere. This is when you get into your room, there's always a sticker on the door that says that it was sanitized and you're the first one to open it up. Some of the sanitizing kits that are available in your room when you get in: towels, moist towels, masks, hand gel, and you can request more anytime you need them. All the remotes are covered and sanitized. In the bathroom, the glasses are all sealed in plastic, if you look. And not only that, coffee maker, that's what I was trying to find in that picture. If you look at the coffee maker, that one is sealed in plastic. You'd have to open that. wine glasses, even the wine glasses, um, champagne glasses, everything is sealed. Hold on, trying to get to, there we go. Okay. Many of the resorts now have QR codes, and if you're not sure what QR codes are, they're the little square thing that you put your phone on. You put it on like a picture, and then when you hit the picture, it goes right to a website which shows you the menu. And also, if you're not tech savvy and you don't have a QR code, you can just, many of them have paper menus that are single use that you can request. Most of the properties have partnered with third-party safety companies to consult with on how to best minimize risk and keep COVID at bay. For example, for these resorts here, the Mayo Clinic and companies like Lysol are working with their resorts. The Hard Rock was another program that had Safe and Sound, which partnered with Ecolab. So they're very upfront, in showing you what they are doing to help protect you. Again, reminders everywhere where to stand. When you're at an elevator, in the specific elevator here, there were only 2 people allowed, and they remind you which way to stand. This was an elevator that allowed 4 people, but you had to each stand in the corner. And when you walk into that elevator, there are little round circles in each corner to remind you. On stairs, again, reminding you to back up. And while it may seem or sound kind of strange to see these everywhere, you actually do need them because sometimes you do forget, especially when you're on vacation and you're trying to relax. You're not constantly thinking of that. So the reminders are helpful. The lounges, they do not, like maybe in other times where people would pull the lounge chairs together, they do not allow that now. Some of the resorts, though, are already made for social distancing, meaning that if you look, they're properly spaced as it is. And these are some of the bigger resorts that are doing this much better. There were some resorts that were still a little bit crowded that I didn't see as much social distancing in. So that's something, again, that that you and I can discuss about what your preferences are so that I can put you at the right resort. There's nothing worse than getting to a resort and it's not what you wanted or what you're comfortable with. Look at this social distancing. What's better than that? Right out in the beach, on the open air. There's so many areas of these resorts where you can go and be by yourself. Another great example. Again, perfect social distancing. Now back to room service, let's go to. So again, here's the QR code. No more menus again in the room. And in many of the rooms, again, depending on the resort, they didn't have the things that are shared like hair dryers and robes and slippers or coffee makers, again, things like that. They are things that you do have to request and they will bring them up to you, but they just want to make sure that they are not touched and that they're sanitized in between each use. So this was how I had room service at one of my resorts. Everything was served in a paper bag and sealed with a sticker on top. And then the food was served in biodegradable packaging and biodegradable utensils. All of the condiments were sealed, single use as well. This was another resort that did use real plates and glasses, but everything was sealed and covered in plastic. I know you probably can't see it, but even that plate at the bottom was wrapped in plastic. Individually wrapped, again, no more bottles or things that can be shared, single-use items. This was fun. I had a room amenity delivered. Oh, and that's one other thing I didn't mention. If you choose not to have housekeeping or have anyone in your room, that's a preference that you can let them know, and nobody will come in the room at all for any housekeeping. And you can request maybe the towels be left outside your door, or they can hand them to you, whatever way you're comfortable with. So I had an amenity in my room, and generally it comes with a card from the management or from somebody. So this had a little QR code that said "Scan me," and when I scanned it, it said, personalized message, welcome home, which I just thought was fun. Now for restaurants, okay, no more buffets, and it's now called assisted food service. And I have to say that I like this better. So to me, this is not a downfall. You still have your buffets in terms of the amount of food and different selections that you can everything that you want. But if you look at these pictures, everything now is covered in glass. So what used to be open that you could reach in and grab something is now covered in glass. So you can't touch anything, but the people behind are the ones that if you pointed to, say, one of those plates there, they would take that out and hand that to you. Also, again, some of the others that they will put on a plate for you or give them to you. Every table and chair is sanitized after each use, and there are no salt and pepper shakers or any of the shared condiments on the tables. Again, if you look to the left, look at the spacing between the tables, well spaced out. This was another restaurant, open air on the water, perfectly spaced out. This was an indoor restaurant at a luncheon that I had to attend with people we didn't know. So again, they had us spaced out very well at this big long table. If you are a group traveling together, they will allow you to sit closer. But again, they keep the tables, depending on the resort, they don't want them usually to be more than 8 or 10. Again, look at the safety measures. Everything's sanitized completely, QR code menu, and even hand wipes right there at the table. This is an indoor bar that had socially distant tables, and at most places now you cannot go to the bar. Some places you can. It's in this situation you could not go to the bars at all, but there were plenty of waiters to come over to your tables, and again the tables were very well spaced out and to give you waiter service. This was the teppanyaki restaurant, and if you look now, there's a glass divider between the chef there and the people sitting at the tables. Every menu again with a QR code, easy. And okay, so what's the best resort to go to right now? Again, there are many resorts that are opened, but it seems for safety reasons, all-inclusives are the most popular right now because like I'd mentioned before, it is a self-enclosed environment where you don't have to leave. All your meals, activities, everything is right there in this environment that's pretty much semi-controlled. So where you want to go will depend on your preferences. So talking to you, I will see what you feel comfortable with because some of all the resorts require employees to wear masks. When you're indoors, you wear masks as a guest, but by the pool and the beach and outdoors, you are not required to. So some of them are a little more lax, some are a little more strict. So again, that's something that we discuss and I can help you find the resort where you'll be most comfortable. One of the things that helps about me visiting these. So the reason why I'm at this picture here is your room choice is more important than ever because some people want to spend a little more time in their room as opposed to socializing like they might have last year. So this was a suite I had in Sanctuary Cap Cana in the Dominican Republic, and I was able to work in the sitting area each day. If it was a regular hotel room, it'd be a little more challenging. And if people don't want to go to, say, the Internet Cafe or the Business Lounge, you do have the option to choose a room that has the space for you. This was my terrace. The one on the left was Sanctuary Cap Cana in the Dominican Republic, and then on the right was Unico 2087 in the Riviera Maya, Mexico. Really important to have this space. I mean, you actually don't have to see people if you don't want to while you are there. Swim out suites are ultimate in social distancing on the left, where you've got your own lounge chairs right there and your own little entrance to a small pool that is shared, but people pretty much just swim right in front of their own rooms, and it's not encouraged for anyone else to be swimming in that pool. On the right, cabanas. Cabana rentals are more popular than ever because you've got your own little spaced out area for yourselves and or your families. This was my Sky Suite at the Hard Rock. Again, I had a regular hotel room with a veranda downstairs, and then this was my second floor, which was my little penthouse with a big hot tub, a table for 4, lounges for 4, plenty of room to be socially distanced. So again, you really never have to leave your suite if you don't want to, but once you see what the resorts are like and what they're doing, you will feel comfortable to venture out. So should I travel now? biggest question I get, and again, depends on how comfortable you are. So if you're thinking of traveling, let's talk. I'll be able to help you find the right resort where you will be comfortable. So some people, it might not be ready, but I'm glad that you're here watching this to see what's being done and, for when you might want to travel. So for those of you who don't know me, let me tell you a little bit about Dream Vacations. We're part of World Travel Holdings, which is the largest cruise agency in the United States and award-winning leisure travel company. So what that means is we do a lot of travel for not only ourselves, but for many other companies. So these are some of the brands that we do travel for, the ones at the top. I'm sure you recognize many of these logos. The ones at the top are ones that we own and of course provide the travel for. But the other brands that we don't own, for example, like Marriott Rewards or United Vacations, Alaska, JetBlue, are ones that we book the cruises for those companies. So if you look at just some of the names here, you can imagine the tremendous amount of travel that we do. So that in turn gives us huge buying power with cruise lines and hotels and resorts because of this volume. So in turn, we can give our clients many more amenities, incentives, and promotions that you can't get when you book direct with these places. So why book with a travel advisor? Some people still really just don't know the benefits, and this is one of the questions I'm asked all the time. Just the recent coronavirus situation has taught almost everyone why they should use a travel advisor. When travel halted back in March, many people were left stuck in foreign countries. Expedia, Costco, Vacations to Go, many others didn't answer their calls or emails. Their clients had to figure out how to get home themselves. Costco had, I think, the 7-hour wait time, and then you were disconnected. So I had my phone on overnight for a few weeks just to make sure that if my clients needed me, that I was able to help them whichever way I can. So when I travel, I mean, I look at different things, room size, what's the feel of the resort, the vibe of the resort. And as a travel advisor, we listen, we suggest, we adjust, we understand. We're not a search engine or an anonymous voice. Most of my clients, when they come to me, they want to go to a resort or on a cruise that their friend loved. And I'd say 75% of the time we realize it's not for them. What's great for one person and what one person loves, someone else doesn't. So that's where we come in to be able to use our travel, use our experience to find what's going to be perfect for you. And we're with you before your trip, during your trip, and after your trip. And also, much of it depends on who you know. The contacts with the general managers that we know at the resorts and the cruise lines and the airlines are the ones that want to take care of our clients and make sure that they have a wonderful experience. There's a saying, you can cut your own hair and do your own taxes, but a professional can do it much better, and that's the case. I've been around the world and can give you advice about each destination. My clients know I have a bunch of Facebook groups, but for those that don't, these are some that might be of interest to you. There's quite a few here that you could just pretty much find what's of interest to you and join those and keep up to date on things, specials, promotions, changes, and especially now as travel is slowly coming back. So you can always check this part of my website. It has a URL of www.virtualtravelbydv.com. That brings you right to the page for the full schedule and how you can register for each of these webinars. Just a few of the webinars we've had that just show you scroll down, see what's of interest to you, and you can register there. And I wanted to thank you all for being here, and I just wanted to see if now we're open for questions. I've got a bunch of questions here we're going to start going over, but I wanted to thank everyone first and have a good evening.